Welcome back, Soul Joiners, and thank you for joining me once again on my channel, The Healed Healer Tarot. This is our Soul's Journey reading. So this particular video is meant to give you an understanding of the soul journey from the Fool through to the world, and exactly what it means practically for you as an evolving spirit on your soul's journey back to the divine. So we start out with the Fool, right? That eager, optimistic, naive energy that is so thrilled and passionate about life. It talks about that energy that is untainted, right? The energy of the beginner's mindset, really starting out on this whole thing, this journey that we call life, wanting to learn, grow, and expand into the fullest potential of oneself. One of the beautiful and the blessed things about the Fool and this particular part of the journey is that there's no fear, right? The Fool has no fear. The Fool has full trust and faith in the universal source and in the divine of oneness, that they're willing to take that leap of faith out on this journey and learn and grow through the process of evolution. There's the trust in the divine that you have all of the tools that you need to start this journey. You start out on this journey with this small knapsack of primarily 4 tools and the connection to source. You have your wands for your divine inspiration. You have your swords for your intellectual knowing and decision making. You have your heart and your emotions that lead and guide you in your intuition. And you have your material body and your ability to build and conceive and conjure the life that you want to create. And then the ether, that connection of all of these energies together in one that leads you off on this journey alone to explore and expand who you are within yourself. Along the journey, you run into the energy of the magician. The magician is the energy of I will, right? What it is that you want to focus your energy, your attention, your direction, what it is that you want to manifest and become in life. So as you come into this magician energy, you're giving the knowledge, the tools, and the information that you have everything that you need with you and within you at this moment in time. That all aspects of universal energy are at your disposal and your use. It is up to your will and your focus that determines how and where you go along this journey. Magician also says to us, although our purpose in life is to learn and understand ourselves in relation and connection to the divine and the oneness of all things, we create the world and the life we live based on our intention, focus, and thoughts. So what that means is we must always work to be cognizant of what it is that we're thinking and feeling. Where are we putting our energy and focus and attention into? Because that is what is manifested in the physical realm or in reality. And that's one of the things that people have the hardest time truly really learning and understanding, is that we create by the things that we put the most focus and energy and attention into. So if you're constantly thinking negative thoughts, you produce more of the negative thoughts. Even subconsciously, when you're subconsciously thinking about things and you're ruminating in things and not allowing and letting things go, you're bringing about and creating more of that energy. So the magician is our initiation, that spark, right? That fire energy that starts the whole process of I am and who you are becoming. The magician also tells us to be cognizant of your intention. Everything we do is done out of intention. When we get up in the morning, it's done out of intention. When we go to work in the morning, or whatever time we go to work, or when we get up and do what it is that we're doing in our daily lives, it's done out of intention. So the magician is really here to tell us to always be cognizant of your intentions and the intentions that you put out into the world, because as we go through this life cycle, we understand that we'll be met with the wheel of karma and justice eventually at one point in time upon this journey. And so we have to create out of intention, but just knowing and understanding, regardless to what side you choose to balance on, whatever intention you put out into the world is what you will receive back. That is the laws of the universe. And we'll talk and explore more about that as we work together through our soul's journey and our readings, our new moon readings, our full moon readings, our soul exploration readings. As we really begin to learn and understand ourselves more fully, we'll talk about intention. And we'll also talk a little bit about intention when we consecrate our journals in the next video. So we move from the magician into that high priestess energy. So high priestess is the epitome of the highest principle of feminine energy. Just like the magician is the highest principle of the seed of intention, the seed of growth, the seed of manifestation, the empress is the conduit. It is the avenue, the process in which all things come into creation. It is also the known and the unknown. It is the energy of all things with the high priestess energy, right? I love the fact that the high priestess in this particular deck has these four lights or candles of energy. It talks about the stability of two being duplicated, right? The duality of all things. That is pretty much one of the first lessons that we learn upon this journey, is the duality of all things. As within, so without. As above, so below. Everything is a mirror of the soul and of the self. And so we need to learn how to trust in our intuition, which is one of the hardest things that we do, that people have trouble with, is trusting in our own innate abilities to understand. Some people call it instinct, some people call it intuition and inner knowing. Whatever it is for you, it's given to you by your divine birthright, and it's meant for you to use to be able to navigate this thing through life comprehensively and effectively so that you can grow and expand. Your intuition is your lifesaver. This talks about the emotional self, right? Wisdom, the energy of the emotions. It talks about how we present ourselves to others, what other people see, but it comes from where we've grown, our upbringing, the lessons, the life, the experiences that we have, how we understand our inner magician and our ability to co-create with source, how in tune we are with our emotions and our intuition, and rather or not we allow our intuition to guide us, or are we afraid of our intuition? We're not connected with our intuition, therefore we have self-confidence or lack of self-confidence, and we tend to move in a way in our lives of scarcity and fear and that sort of mindset. It's all based on our inner knowing and what we internally feel and believe. So our intuition is one of the main things that we need to learn to develop and to trust. These two energies are our energy of creation. Our desire and our will and our focused attention, followed by our emotions, our drive, and our ability to trust in ourselves upon the journey of development. All of these energies come and coagulate together with that alchemy in the Empress energy of what it is that we understand. We take our knowledge and our wisdoms and our actions in life, and we come to this understanding of things. The Empress talks a lot about astrology, the makeup of our being, right? The time, the day, the place that we were born. We are all born out of the love and creation of the earth. The earth goddess, Gaia, Mother Earth, right? So this is the Mother Earth energy of unconditional love. So as you can see, we have our roots and our heredity. We have our masculine or paternal DNA and energy. We have our feminine or our maternal DNA and energy. And we have our earth parents, right? This is tribal and lineage. This is earth parents. This is when we start to see the expression of our genetic makeup here on earth. So we'll talk a lot about the relationships with our maternal energy and how we learn to grow and expand and be compassionate and be loving, and how we learn to nurture ourselves first and foremost, and then our nurturance of others. How we relate to universe, how we relate to nature, universal source, how we use our resources, our knowledge, our skills, and our abilities to co-create and to produce. That brings us into our Emperor energy. One of the things that I love about the Emperor energy is because the Emperor energy is that first ability of strength, right? We know that 3 is stability. We know that 2 is stability. We know that 1 is also stable within itself. The 1 and the 2, they balance each other out, right? There's this constant balance that's going on. We restable ourselves here with the 3 because we have a solid foundation, the knowledge, the wisdom, borns the understanding of our life purpose and this journey, and how we are born into realization, right? So the 4s are all about the realization. This is what I perceive as perception, because everybody perceives the world in which we live completely different. And it's based on your upbringing and how you have evolved and where you have come from and the lessons that you received upon this earlier part of your journey. It also talks about the DNA and the lineage and the roots and where you actually evolved from. But we have the ability to create. Our whole purpose in life is to create safety, security, structure, and stability for and within ourselves. And that's really that energy that we talk about when we're talking about Maslow's hierarchy of needs. And when we're talking about that true evolution in the soul of the self and how to become that fully self-actualized being, there's this process of evolution that we must go through, from the base all the way up to the highest point. As you can see, when we're in alignment, we get there a lot quicker. When we're off alignment and we're tottering back and forth between our shadow selves and our divine selves, and we're wigging and wagging our way through this thing we call journey, we all get to the same point eventually, right? Some of us, it just takes us a little bit more time to get there, depending on in what direction or trajectory we are coming from. But we all end at the same place. And that place is really developing the physiological safety and security needs of air, water, food, shelter, clothing, and warmth. We also need sleep. And we are meant to procreate, right? We are meant to have connections to others. We are social beings. We are meant to work together in collaboration. We are meant to support one another. That's the universal connectivity of all things, the light and the dark. I think that's one of the hardest things for people to understand as well, is that we need the dark just as much as we need the light. And it takes some time to really truly understand that. That is a process of the higher level evolutional process and learning, that we need both the light and the dark, that we are a composite of all things, including our shadows. So we're awakened to that understanding in that Emperor energy. We're awakened to that we are the creator of our life. This is cosmic and universal energy. So once we're awakened to the fact of who we truly are as a spiritual being living a physical existence, we move into a greater understanding of how to establish ourselves in this material world. And that's where the emperor comes in at. The emperor is a composite of all kings. He is a composite of the king of swords, of intellect, of knowledge, of learning, of wisdom, of truth, of clarity. He's the master of his own mind. He's also the master of the material world, of abundance, of creation, of knowledge, of stability, knowledge of self, right? Knowledge of who he is on a physical, spiritual, mental being, and how he manifests himself in this world of perception. He also is the king of cups, the emotional, intuitive, spiritual being, and how he is also connected to his feminine self, or his feminine energy is also just as important as his masculine energy. They are equally important in and within himself. And he's also awakened to that fire, that spirit, that drive, that source energy of the divine. And he understands that he has to rule himself within the constructs of universal law. Those are the hermetic laws, the astrological laws, the numerological laws, the laws of science and order. And that's the reason why the emperor is also thought of as the authority figure of control, of order, of structure. We live in a universe of laws. We cannot deviate from those laws. A lot of people like to tend to think that they can, but they can't. Because all laws in all things have a law, a principle, or a mathematical component that goes along with it. And we have to work within that context of the universal energies. As we move into the Hierophant energy, we move into what we believe. What are our moral beliefs? What do we stand for? What do we know to be true and just based on our early upbringing, based on what we've learned about Earth, what we've learned about ourselves, what we've learned about our lineage, our culture, our heritage, what we've learned about the world that we live in, the universe that we live in, right? This is more like Earth energy. This is more like universal energies and laws and things that we cannot deviate away from. What if you learned about that? And where does your power lie, right? As we look at the number 5, for me, always talks about the transition of change, things that break up the status quo. This is also that point where you start to question things, right? You want to know, well, why does this happen? Well, why does that happen? Well, why does this? You're looking to learn, grow, and expand, and really to get a more higher level. This is higher knowledge. This is also a spiritual teacher or a guide. You're seeking that higher level knowledge of understanding of what is the purpose of this thing we call life. And that's your first transition into understanding yourself. Now, remember we talked about as above, so below, as within, so without. This brings us to the lovers and the choices that we make in life. What do we choose based on what we've learned, based on what makes us happy, based on what we understand about the world, ourselves, and the part that we play in it? Choices. This is the union of the masculine and the feminine energy, first within the self and then out. Spiritual and material. The spiritual aspect of ourselves has to be fully acclimated before we can have the abundance of the material. And that's what the lovers brings to our evolution of understanding of our soul's journey. The first person you need to love is the love for self, and the love for self will bring in the love and the understanding of others. Love for self is of our higher self, and you see how she's cloaked in the purple of the divine. She's cloaked in that indigo of the third eye energy of being divinely guided and connected, and always making the choices that lead to her greatest good and highest emanation. So that is our plane of learning, right? So once we reach down here, we have this fully developed ego based on our upper level of heredity, our upbringing, rather how we were natured versus nurtured. I know a lot of people talk about that. What did we learn in our physical environment? What did we learn from society? Were we oppressed? Did we have the ability to learn, grow, and expand? Were our parents supportive and nurturing? Did we know our fathers? Did we know our mothers? Were we adopted or raised by others? All of these things will start to come up for us in this first level of our life's existence, and just in learning to love ourselves. Learning to love ourselves first. That then determines how you live your life on this plane of existence. So, if I got properly nurtured and I've mastered those lower level, now we're looking at Erickson's levels of development, mastery versus non-mastery. Am I confident within myself? Am I grounded, safe, and stable and secure? Do I believe in my talents and skills and abilities? Can I now go out on this thing that we call life and really begin to pull everything together, really begin to live the life of my dreams that I want to live? And how will that life manifest for me? Most people never make it past this level here of loving themselves. It doesn't matter at what age you go through the process of this journey. Everybody awakens to the journey at a different time. But some of us never progress past loving ourselves. And then there's moments and times and things that happen in our life where we regress back to another level or back to another area where we realize there's still more work to be done. There are 4 planes of existence. And so there's always more work to be done. You have to master the emotional plane. You have to master the physical plane. You have to master the mental plane. You have to master the spiritual plane before you can evolve to the oneness. So that is the journey from the aces of each suit through to the kings. Really learning how to master that. And there will be some subsequent videos that go along with mastering the material, the mental, the spiritual, and the emotional world. I think I'll put out a series of videos for that as well. But this one is just about the soul's journey and what our purpose is in life. So as we come into that ego, we have what, it's traditionally depicted by a man on a chariot, and he has either a black lion and a white lion, or he has, some form of black and white expression of the masculine and feminine energy that pulls him forward along this life journey in his divine purpose. So by the age of 7, you've already been fully developed into who you are and what you will be throughout the rest of your life, right? This is like a milestone of your growth and your development. This is also the point in the age of life by the age of 7 where you start to create your own karma, where when you do things and make intentions and do things in your life, you're the one that reaps the karma for it on your soul's journey. You know the difference between right and wrong. You have the divinity to choose. Do I want to choose and follow my soul's purpose and what I've come here on this planet or this life plane or this existence to accomplish? Or do I want to do what makes me feel good? This is almost like the age or the expression of when you're first introduced to the shadow side or your alter self, the negative and the positive, the masculine and the feminine, the light and the dark, the true duality of who you are as a being. When you learn to love yourself, you infuse the masculine and the feminine energy, and you realize that you're one and the same, and that you have masculine and feminine energy within you, and you learn how to use those energies in concert with each other for your greatest good and highest emanation. That leads you on your journey to decide, how are you going to be in your life? Are you naturally good or are you naturally bad? Are you driven and drawn towards self-seeking behaviors, or are you driven and drawn towards supporting others, helping others, uplifting others? What do you know about yourself? And this all really pretty much comes from understanding of who you are and how much you love and trust in yourself, how well you've been indoctrinated or educated in your divinity and in your birthright. And believe you me, I understand and know that we all fail to be properly educated about who we are. But that's a whole nother topic and a whole nother story. When you come into your life purpose and you realize that you have free will, you then move forward on your life journey, making decisions for yourself to live the life that you want to. You've created that independence now. You've broken away from the early level of development, from the family, your nature, your nurture. You've grown into who you are, and now you're starting to make decisions in your life for yourself. You encounter strength, right? Because in the chariot and the ego energy, in the developed ego energy, you know and understand that you can choose whatever it is that you want to choose. But the strength comes in to say, we have positive energy, but we also have the feminine energy that tames our desires and our will, that helps us to keep ourselves in checks and balances so that we don't skew too far away from the divine, too far away from our path, where we're not so good and naive that we get walked all over and taken advantage of, or so far to the dark, or so far to the dark that we're vindictive, and spiteful, and we do things with ill intentions against others, right? We need to tamper that energy. That is 8 talks about the spiritual journey. 7 talks about choosing the path that you want to follow. Now, this is where we talk about the universal battle between good and evil that's always cosmically going on. We play into that larger perspective. You have the choice to choose through your free will, rather you are going to live up to what your purpose is for on this earth plane, or if you want to just live the life that you want to live and do the things that you want to do. But we're awakened to our strength is our spirit. Our strength is our soul. Our strength is our divinity and our life purpose. And when you see all of this orange, our DNA, our divinity, our birthright in conjunction with the feminine energy, it's that wholeness, the strength. I can tame my lower level energies and desires, and I can walk by faith and not by sight, and I can align myself more fully with the divine because I have strength and dominion over my free will. And that leads us to the energy of the hermit. If you can tame those lower level desires, and you can tame the selfishness or the savage beast within, so to speak, then you evolve, right? This is like the stage of initiation where you come into the 9s of the existence. How will you exist? Will you exist as a fully self-actualized being, or will you exist as a lower version of your true self? She's cloaked in red here because she's confident and secure. She has already attained all of those physiological needs, safety and security needs, love and belonging needs, as well as esteem needs. She's found them within herself. This is esteem. This is safety and security. This is the physiological needs, self-love and esteem. All of these things are secured within the person, within themselves. Like I said, most people never evolve past the chariot. They never evolve past self-love. A lot of people. This is ego. Some people get so stuck and caught in ego that they lose the fact that they are a spiritual being. They lose the fact that they're meant to evolve past their ego to a much higher, more global perspective of self, oneness with the divine and with all things. So the hermit goes within introspection, chooses to go and follow the path of the enlightened. This is a choice to follow the path of the enlightened, to follow the path of the teacher, the guide, the spiritual advisor, to help to shed the light for all those that are coming behind, to open and illuminate the way to the wheel. That's your destiny. Creating your destiny. You see how she has all the tools and she's flicking them and spinning them all around in the air? This is the person that's so grounded in the loving and the opening of the heart space. This is taming the lower level desires and opening up the heart space, compassion, forgiveness, love. Knowing that I have the free will to choose. I'm grounded, safe, and secure and confident within myself. I choose the path of the divine. And that opens you up to love, peace, blessings, and abundance. The Wheel of Fortune is often depicted as the card of good fortune, things turning into your favor, you being rewarded for the things that you have put out in the universe. This talks about what you put out in the world will then come back to you based on your intentions. What have you put out into the world? This is cosmic, more higher, intuitive energy. What have you put out into the world? Is your truth your sword? Is your word your bond? Do you present yourself morally with good character, with grace, with acceptance, with understanding? How are you in this process of your evolution? This is a higher level version of the High Priestess. This is the union of the masculine and the divinity of the feminine energy in one. I am the truth and fairness and justice in all things. This is that card. When you reach this level of evolution, you do unto others as you would have them do unto you. You understand that what you put out in the world, you get back in return. You release yourself from the ego, from needing to win, one up someone, having to be the center of attention, all of those lower level energies that keep you stuck and prevent you from being able to evolve into your divinity. This comes in to say, surrender and release. You are a spiritual being living a material and physical life. But always remember that you are connected to the divine. You are a child of God. The hangman comes in to say, this is the awakening and the acknowledgement of your path, right? You understand by this point what your purpose on this journey is and what it is that you were meant to do as a part of the collective conscious upraising, to help to elevate the collective consciousness. You surrender the ego. You follow the strength, the path. You come into your divinity, what you were born to do, your birthright, your skills, talents, and abilities. You open your heart completely and passionately. You do unto others as you would have them do unto you. You are just and righteous in your ways. And that releases you from ego, from lower level energies, and now you begin to take that curve and that turn towards mastery of the self. That's where the death and the transformation comes in. You see how the hanged man is almost hung upside down. It's almost like she's being put into this cocoon. She's releasing the older, lower level version of herself. She's learned all of these wonderful, beautiful spiritual life lessons thus far. Karma, understanding of self, realizing that she's a divine being, releasing the old and stepping in, transformed in a new, in her highest form. And when I say her, please forgive me, nothing is gender specific. I'm just reading, looking at the energies on the cards. We all have masculine and feminine energy within us. We operate out of those energies at all times. Sometimes we're too far in our masculine energy and need to pull ourselves back into our feminine energy. It does not matter by gender. It is all about the energy. And so you release and you transform and you allow that cycle in a whole new level of understanding. You are being reborn at the 13, right? You done went through 10 whole cycles and you're being reborn anew. Your divine self is being born and initiated at this time. And that's when you come into the earth angel of the temperance energy. You're grounded, you're stable. You've reached a certain level of self-actualization. Actually, you've reached to the level of esteem, right? So when we talk about the level of esteem, you have respect, self-esteem, status, recognition, strength, freedom, and gratitude for the process that has gotten you here. You're working on being a fully self-actualized being. You're working on awakening yourself and freeing yourself and being fully self-actualized. You've reached this place of ultimate balance, right? One of the things that I love about temperance, because you realize with the union that you have masculine and feminine energy in you, light and dark energy in you, the shadow and the light is within you. And you learn, like the alchemist, to blend the shadow and the light together. You're grounded and secure in who you are, and you walk what we call the middle path, right? And when you walk the middle path, you're more aligned to your divinity and your higher self. Versus when you're constantly tip-tottering back and forth on either side, as you can see, the distance to divinity can be a lot more long, daunting, a lot more roadblocks, a lot more issues within that path. But these are issues of your creation, consciously or unconsciously. Consciously or unconsciously. That is the keys of manifestation. But like all devils, once you've reached that state of peace, you've become that earth angel. You're secure in yourself and who you are. You've established all of the safety, security, love, and belonging, and esteem, and everything that you have beneath you. You are strong and sturdy in your divinity, in your birthright. Then here goes the devil and all the things that will come in to try to test you, right? And if you have any area that has gone unaddressed, untreated, unhealed from your past, from your upbringing, what will eventually end up happening is you will encounter this devil and you will not be able to evolve past this state of your existence. So you have the first emergence of self-love and self-respect, and then you have the ability to release yourself from your ego. And if you cannot release yourself from your ego and your devil, it will continue to come up for you. I always look at the devil as tapping into the 7 deadly sins, right? Too much pride, too much greed, too much anger, wrath, too much envy and hate, too much lust, too much gluttony, and too much sloth. Lack of motivation, poverty mindset, being in that space of thinking that other people are doing something to you, not taking accountability for your life journey, your path, your will, your direction. That's what the emperor is. The emperor learns and understands that he is his own Lord and master. He is the ruler of his life, his world, his environment, his mind, his body, his spirit, his thoughts. That's the reason why he's all the kings in one. If you haven't reached this level of understanding, you can't escape this devil. The devil will eventually begin to continue to come up throughout your life in other people, as without, so with, as within, so without. As above, so below. You will mirror this energy in your relationships. You will mirror this energy in your environment, your work, your home, your communities, whatever it is. Whatever's not tamed, you see all that fire, that desire, that aspirations, whatever is not tamed within you, that lower level energy will begin to emerge and come out. And it usually comes out in some form of pride, jealousy, greed, gluttony, wrath, just evil energies that are vindictive and that are not supportive for a greater good and a higher emanation. But that's what keeps you stuck. Refusal to release those lower level energies, refusal to allow the ego to die, wanting to stay connected to the material plane. Because our purpose is to be earth angels, to come into our divinity and our purpose to help to uplift the collective consciousness of all for the greatest good and highest emanation of all, not just for ourselves. But we have to learn it within ourselves first before we can help others. Learning, living, mastery. So when we can't break ourselves free from the devil, or when we're not in alignment with universal source, the tower comes in, the rude awakening, shit happens. And yes, I do curse in my videos. I'm giving you a forewarning. I'm a spiritual being, but I also curse. And this breaking in of the tower is breaking away the facade, the false beliefs. You know, money doesn't make you happy. Sex doesn't make you loved. Being smart doesn't make you liked. And until you know who you are as a spiritual being, until you have faith in the divine, you're lost. And that's just the end of it, the bottom line of it. You have to have completeness in all those things. And that's the reason why there's this breaking up of the false illusion. There's this leveling out of something that does not serve you well, so that you can transmute it, heal it, and change it. And how you do that is through faith and forgiveness, opening up your heart space, unconditional love, understanding your divinity and your birthright, that you are a child of the divine, and that your purpose here on earth is to learn, grow, and expand, and to become the best version of yourself, so that you can be a light and an inspiration for others. We are social beings. We are meant to collaborate, communicate, and to build together. This is a spiritual journey that's meant to awaken us to our purpose, our divinity, and our birthright, and to bring us more close and more wholeness with the divine in all things. The beauty and the light in me observes and sees the beauty and the light in you, and that we are all one and the same, right? Darwinism, the theory of evolution. We have the DNA from the earliest protozoa, the earliest energy, the earliest single cell life form resides and lives within us. We are all things, including the stars, the galaxy, the galactic dust. We are all things that is. And we are being shooken and awakened to put us back on our path. The tower may be an energy that is uncomfortable. The hermit is often thought of as a lonely and a solitary energy, and so is the high priestess. The high priestess is also a very solitary energy. You realize I haven't talked about you and your journey in connection to anyone, because the soul journey is a journey of the self, a journey of the divine energy, the inner or the higher you, the you that is divine. That's the process of the soul journey. And the star comes in after this rude awakening to say, have faith and hope that all things happen for the perfect reason, in the perfect timing, and as they are meant to be for your abundance, your greatest good, and your highest emanation. And there you come into the awareness of your shadow. That I've been running from this devil all this time, and the devil is within me. And everything that happens inside of me and in my external world is a reflection of myself. The moon reflects the sun of the light. So we reflect our counterparts, right? Our twin flames, our soulmates, the people that encounter us or that we have contracts with on this earthly plane. The process of our lives and our evolutions are through our soul tribe and our lineage and our divinity to help us to learn and grow and to awaken to the love of our spiritual selves, to be depth and transformed into our epitome of our judgment, where we're awakened and we no longer have fears, worries, or doubts because we know and understand that we're always divinely guided and protected. It's in our DNA. We are a child of the divine. We have the free will to choose. We are the shadow and the light. We are the all. Omnipotent, omnipresent. We are all things. I am that I am. And Moses said in Exodus 3:14, what am I to tell the people? And the divine said, tell them that the I am has sent you to awaken the people to your divinity, to your birthright of who you truly are as a spiritual being living a physical existence. And when you awaken to that acknowledgement, there goes the enlightenment. Your soul just opens up and you align yourself with the higher you. And you step into the full understanding of your birthright. You've now existed as above and below. Your spiritual body and your material body are now one, and that brings you the freedom of oppression from your mind, from your heart, from your spirit, and from the world. So the whole purpose of our soul's journey and becoming a fully self-actualized human being is knowing and understanding that we have everything in life within us. We have all the love, the joy, the happiness, and everything that we need within ourselves. And that the light that we shine from within is reflected back to us from others. And that whenever we have something negative being reflected to us, we have to then go within ourselves and understand where that part is within ourselves so we can heal it, transmute it, and change it for our highest good and our greatest emanation, and the highest good and the greatest emanation of all. And that is the world. The whole purpose of our existence is to free ourselves from this material world, free ourselves from our mind, free ourselves from our emotions, fully understand how to use all aspects of our being, our mental, physical, spiritual, and material selves, so that we can free ourselves and align our soul with our divine purpose. And that's what we'll be doing here on this channel. Thank you so much for exploring with me the soul's journey on our soul's journey back to the divine. I hope that you will like, share, and subscribe this video. And if you have not already subscribed to the channel, please take a moment to do so. I would love to have you here as a part of the Soul Joiner family. Make sure that you look at the next video that is talking about the consecration of your journal. We will consecrate our journals and talk about how we'll be using our soul journey journals to write down the readings as we get into the readings. I removed everything that used to be on the channel. I am completely starting the channel over from scratch and anew, into what I'm about. And that's helping people to heal and enlighten and expand. So what we'll be doing on the channel is we'll be exploring your relationship with your mother, exploring your relationship with your father, exploring your relationship with the greater context of community, of society, learning and understanding if we've met the developmental milestones for us to have positive self-esteem, positive self-thought, to really know and love ourselves internally and externally. And if not, what do we need to do in order to reach that state of peace, of harmony, of being aligned and being happy and living every single day with joy, with purpose, and with intention? And so you'll use your soul journey journals to write down the readings and also your soul work. I call it soul work. At the end of each of the videos that you'll follow with me, we'll explore a different area of our chakra. We'll explore different meditations and affirmations. I will give you questions and things that come from the practical uses of tarot and how you can begin to develop these areas, archetypal energies that are within you. The whole purpose of this soul journey is for you to awaken to every single one of these archetypes and to infuse them all into your divine self. You see how she has every single color aspected in her tree of life, and how she is enlightened with the divinity of the divine, and how she is always divinely connected to spirit and to source, but she's grounded here in the world and in this reality. And that is fully self-actualization. So I want to thank you all again for joining me on the channel. Make sure you do like and subscribe, and to share to those that you would think that would benefit from this. If you haven't already had the opportunity to do so, please watch the trailer, which will be connected in the description box below, that tells you a little bit about me and about the channel. Also take some time to go over to my website at thehealedhealertarot.com. Make sure you register your full name, your date of birth, your city and state that you were born in, and also the time of your birth, and you will receive a free birth chart as well as a complimentary gift just for registering. And then also visit me over on my Facebook channel, become a part of the Facebook community, where I put out daily energy reads and pop-up reads to help us to navigate this thing we call life. I am thanking you so much for joining me here on the channel, where we take a look at the practical uses of tarot and how we can use tarot in our everyday lives so that we can grow and expand on our soul's journey back to the divine. I want to thank you so much for joining me on this channel, soul joiners, and to our soul paths cross again. I am wishing you nothing but love, peace, blessings, and abundance be unto you. Namaste.